Good evening, everyone. Great to have you back. This week, we're talking all about the Super Bowl and all its controversy as we welcome TSN radio sports personality Mo Khan. I also face off against the former assistant coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning, as well as the head coach of the Drummondville Voltigeurs, Martin Raymond. It's happening right here, right now. It's time to read between the lines. NFL fans were treated to one of the greatest Super Bowls in recent history, including one of the most controversial ones. On this week's Four Downs, we're talking all about that famous play call. We invite you, as always, to join us on our social networks at facebook.com/RBTL Sports, as well as on Twitter at RBTL Sports. We welcome this man right here, looking good, Mo Khan, TSN radio sports personality. Great to see you. Thanks for taking the time.
Guys, thanks for the invite. Pleasure to be here.
To your left is David Hurley, RBTL contributor. Great to see you.
Glad to be back.
And to my left, Anthony Corneli, RBTL contributor. Good to see you. All right, gentlemen, I wanted to start first and foremost with some reaction on Twitter. There is no denying that this completely blew up online. I want to start with a comment that was made from none other than Terrell Owens, who says, that play call will haunt Pete for the rest of his career. Give the ball to beast mode in that situation. Hashtag feel bad for the players. Deion Sanders also weighed in. He said, a decision based on emotions could destroy a dream, a desire, a need, a want, and an opportunity. Take your time, relax, and think clearly. Hashtag truth. And last but not least, Emmett Smith says the only thing at Danger Russ Wilson could have done was object to the call. Let's go to you, Mo, first and foremost, in terms of objecting to the call. It's an option that's on the table. Doesn't happen often.
Right.
But if there was ever a moment for a quarterback to make his own call, it could have been that exact moment.
Could have been, but we don't know what the play call was if there was an audible. If you look at Darrell Bevell, the OC of this team, he put himself in a situation to say, is Russell Wilson the Tom Brady to make that throw? And he couldn't do it. And guys, credit has to go to the Patriots. They studied that formation so well that they ran that play for the INT.
Yeah,
and we saw that
I agree
happens.
with you on that one, but I do agree. I don't think that there was a real big challenge on that play. If you look at the corner, it was a rookie corner making that play. The rookie corner saw what was going to happen. He saw that there was going to be three wide receivers out there. They had their goal line formation. It was going to be a play that they had seen before. It was this quick slant over the middle. If I'm Russell Wilson, I take the timeout. I still have close to 25, 26 seconds, and you still have your two other plays to get it into the red zone.
For sure. I mean, Derek Bevel tried to take the pressure on him, saying he made that call.
Yeah, they're all deflecting.
And everybody's deflecting.
Yeah,
everybody's
absolutely.
really deflecting responsibility. Maybe kind of try to take the pressure off the guys because they know they're going to come under scrutiny in the next couple of days. But he also went and said that my receiver wasn't strong enough on that play. Like he should have been stronger on that ball. But I mean, Ben Russell said that he underthrew the ball. The coach, he could have overruled. Pete Carroll could have overruled the decision of his OC in the last minute to cost him the Super Bowl. He gets them big bucks, right?
Do you also, I mean, this might be stretching a little bit, but I think that Bill Belichick not calling a timeout and letting them scramble and having the pressure on them was, whether some believe it was done on purpose or not, I guarantee you, if Bill Belichick calls that timeout, you've got your OC, you've got defense coordinator, you have Pete Carroll who steps in there, and as a team, they will collectively decide to run that ball.
They should have scored the touchdown, and if they would have scored that touchdown, Bill Belichick would have been questioned for poor time management on that one.
Pete Carroll's been involved in two big plays in his coaching career. USC 2006 BCS game against Texas, 4th and 2, has Reggie Bush on the sidelines. This play, we all agree, Marshawn Lynch should have ran that football in. Obviously, we look at the time clock here, try and leave very little for Tom Brady in that Patriot offense, and that's what overcoaching comes into play, and that's what cost him the Super Bowl.
Hey, you take a look at how many tries they had, too, statistically. How many times has Marshawn had that ball and get 2 or 3 tries at it and not giving you what you need, right, in that crucial moment? Stay right there. We have a lot more to talk about. This was a huge game. There's so many storylines. I want to hear your opinion about Marshawn, specifically his contract. Is he coming back as the Seahawks? Stay with us. All that and more happening right here on Reid Between the Lines.
Reid Between the Lines is brought to you by EliteSportsTours.ca. What are you doing this weekend?
Welcome back to Reid Between the Lines as we're discussing the Super Bowl, more specifically Marshawn Lynch. We want to hear your feedback as always. Join us on our social networks at facebook.com/RBTL Sports, as well as on Twitter at RBTL Sports. Welcome back. TSN radio sports personality Mo Khan.
Thanks,
to your
guys.
left is David Hurley and Anthony Corneli. I'm Marshawn Lynch. I've sacrificed my body for an entire season. I've given you everything you've wanted. I've done everything you've said, and I've done it to perfection. And I've established myself as one of the greatest in the game. When it comes down to the most important moment of my career or this team's season on my shoulders, you decide not to have me be the guy. What does that tell you? And how upset does Marshawn have the right to be, considering how that all went down?
Well, we heard Marshawn's comments, team sport, but deep down it probably bugs him because he was gashing that Patriot run defense left, right, and center. And all you needed was 1 yard to score 6 points to win second consecutive Super Bowl in their franchise history. Now, for Marshawn, money-wise, remember, he rejected the deal back in the summertime where they were trying to restructure his deal. Well, how much does he get now? And this will be his last big payday because at his age, not many running backs play past 31, 32 and be at the prime of their career.
And the consensus was that Marshawn, I mean, he was not, the guys in the locker room were not happy as well.
Well, no, you're
hear
Bruce
some of the audio.
Bruce Irvin lost it in the media. He said, how do you have Marshawn Lynch, and how do you throw that? It just baffles me. I'm even dumbfounded by watching that play. Marshawn Lynch should have ran that ball, and I think it's going to cost Seattle probably their running back. I think he might test free agency. He has that opportunity.
You really think so? You really think
I really do
this
think
was...
but he's going to get thrown a lot of money at him. Someone's going to give him some money. Yeah. I mean, Oakland's got $70 million. I mean, I know I'm a fan of the Raiders, but they've got a lot of money. They could throw for a 1-2 year deal, a bridge deal, to get Latavius Murray in.
Psychologically, it might affect him on his decision whether he re-sign or not. But apparently, they're going to throw some big money at him. You know, he had a great year.
Yeah, but they can't
Russell
because they got
Wilson's
Russell
free
Wilson
agent.
going from $800,000 to $20 million easily.
He'll go as the highest paid quarterback in the league. Hands
He-
down.
yeah,
If Joe
maybe
Flacco-
not,
If Joe,
maybe
Flacco,
not.
if Joe Flacco managed to be the highest paid after winning the Super Bowl,
But he's coming out of his rookie contract, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So they're going to throw some big money on him to keep him around. He did win a Super Bowl in
Well,
his
the way the
second season.
Seahawks have restructured their cap is to bill for Russell Wilson, right? They got rid of Percy Harvin, who they saved $7 million off the cap, but they want to sign Wilson to a long-term deal. But again, you have other guys who are going to be due for big dollar deals in the next 2-3 years who are on their rookie scale contracts, so they have to capitalize now, otherwise they'll lose a lot of guys.
what do you think about this steam that it's starting to pick up a little bit more steam recently in terms of the conspiracy or the alternate, I guess, point of view that the relationship between Carroll and Wilson is stronger than the relationship between Carroll and Lynch? And that's the reason why, even including the OC, in the same type of relationship, that's the reason why they went with a pass rather than a
Well,
rather
Darrell
than a rush.
Bevel and Marshawn Lynch do have a little troubled history. We saw it earlier during the season when he did the same thing in Arizona.
Yeah.
He threw the ball instead of giving it to Marshawn Lynch, and Marshawn gave it to Darrell Bevel on the sidelines.
yeah.
So there is a little bit of maybe an anger between those two. But Pete Carroll is a player's coach. Ask any player who's played for Pete Carroll. They love Pete Carroll, and they'll go through a brick wall for Pete Carroll.
Absolutely.
I mean, coming from a coach's background, I've coached for about 15 years now. You prepare your team. I believe that coaches do win championships, but when the game's on the line, you got to trust in your players. I prepared you. I gave you everything you needed to win this game. I give the decision. I give the ball to Russell Wilson. I give him the decision to win that game for me. If he decides to hand it off to Marshawn Lynch, who was one of the top rushing offenses in the league, give the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Give the players a chance to win you that game.
Well, we're going to talk about players having a chance of winning maybe next year as we preview the Seahawks. I'm curious to know what your opinions are about the Seahawks in the 2015-2016 season. Stay with us. Our Pretender Contender segment is coming up next.
Read Between the Lines is brought to you by Diadora. Available at diadora.com.
The Seattle Seahawks were close, but no cigar. On this week's Pretender Contender, we're looking for next year to find out if they have what it takes to get back to the Super Bowl and maybe even win it. We welcome back TSN radio sports personality Mo Khan. Great to see you. David Hurley, RBTL contributor, and one of my co-hosts, Anthony Cornelli. All right, it's too early to start talking about next year, but for the fun of it, let's talk about what we know now and forecast that to the future. Pretender or contender, Seattle Seahawks next year?
Seattle's schedule, guys. They play the AFC North, so it's Pittsburgh, the Bengals, the Browns, and the Ravens. Very, very tough schedule. First place schedule, need I say, where they play the Packers again and the Cowboys. So with the team and how they're structured right now, I think they are a contender, provided they're able to re-sign their guys and draft well like they've done so in the last few years.
Yeah, drafting is really going to be their key for them because they're not going to have much money to spend in free agency. They're really going to have to keep going on the trend that they've been doing and draft really well. They're going to need to probably add a wide receiver Definitely going to need to add another running back. I don't think they're going to be able to keep Marshawn. And their defensive line, they're going to start looking to get some guys because Cliff Averill, they're not going to be able to keep him and Bennett there.
The reason why you feel that Marshawn Lynch will not be kept, is it because of the space that Russell Wilson will take on his new contract?
Yeah, because they're going from $800,000 to $20 million in 1 year. That's a crazy
No, but I'm
jump.
talking about in terms of the leeway that they did have. That's going to be a challenge for them to go out and get the right players.
They're not going to be
fit.
able to go in free agency and go get a top tier guy like
Unless-
they've been able to get. There's no unless. There's definitely none. They're set with their max contracts that they put out there right now. They're really in deep trouble financially. They really have to draft.
I believe that it's going to be a big psychological battle for them. I mean, they're going to have to rebuild the defensive coordinator just took the job at the Falcons, so they're going to have to rebuild that staff there. I think that they still do have Richard Sherman, who's one of the better upper echelon corners in the game. Russell Wilson's getting better. If by miracle they end up re-signing Lynch, they still have the key elements, three of the best players in the game, to come back and be a favorite. And NFL Network is still tipping them to be the favorite for the 2016
Yeah, it's tough to not to have them as the favorites right now because of what they've done the last 2 years. They're so dominant. But I just don't see how they're going to be able to do it with that schedule that they have to play. It's going to be really, really tough. You think Green Bay is going to be just as good. There's also Detroit that's building up their team.
Philly rebounding. It's a tougher road in the NFC than it is in the AFC to get back to this point.
Are we predicting some big changes, some heads to roll? Do we think that the OC is...
I mean, Darrell Bevell is definitely, if Al Davis was still the owner in the NFL, his head would be rolling right now.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have taken until
Yesterday.
later. Yesterday, right after the Super Bowl.
Derek Bevell made the call, but in the end, Pete Carroll can overrule. He's the head coach. In the end, when the ship goes down, the captain goes down first.
Yeah.
So I don't think heads are going to roll. I don't think you can fire Pete Carroll. He brought the team to two Super Bowls in a row.
No, Pete Carroll's not getting fired.
No, but
I think there's going to be definitely division in the locker room, though, with the defense and the offense. There's definitely some work to be done.
I think for Darrell Bevell, he went from being a prime candidate for a head coaching position. Probably now he downgrades himself by 2-3 years because of this play call that will stick with him for a while.
He'll be with like special teams next year somewhere.
Who knows?
You take a look at the history that the Patriots have had in the AFC Championship game, the success they've had. You've alluded that throughout the entire season. You said consistency is key for this team. Yeah. Is there more in the tank for these two?
It's hard to say that Brady's not going to... Like, I want to give up on the Patriots. I don't like the Patriots. Yeah. I hate Bill Belichick, but I love Tom Brady. There's nothing you could say about a guy who's got nothing but pure class. He's definitely the greatest of all time. And having an opportunity to watch him year in, year out, I really don't see how we can say the Patriots aren't going to be there again next year. And there's no real big powerhouse in the AFC right now that's going to give them a run for their money.
Well, one of the big powerhouses is this man right here on the radio. And I know you've got a lot going on. Tell people what people want to know more about you and some of the stuff that you're working on.
Well, guys, you know Simon Sleeks very well. I'm part of his show Up Late with Simon every Monday to Thursday and Tuesday, Wednesday included on TSN Radio. Play-by-play with McGill University with their varsity teams. You can follow me on Twitter at MoCon19 as well. So I'm all over the place, social media-wise, here with you guys, which is an honor to be with you guys, doing a great job, you guys say. And I'm busy, man. Here, Toronto, points in between.
Good to see you. Thanks for taking that.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, man.
Stay with us. My face-off is up next. We're back in $1.80. Don't go anywhere. He's a gold medal winner at the World Juniors, a former assistant coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning, and now the head coach of the Drummondville Voltigeurs. Great to welcome Martin Raymond on Reid Between The Lines this week on My Face Off. Great to see you, Marty. Thanks for taking the time.
Well, thank you for having me.
You've worked with quite a few junior players. First and foremost, what do you look for the most, a skill set in particular, that really sets them apart from the rest? And for you, is a quick indication that these guys are going to go big time into the NHL?
I think right now, with the type of hockey that's played now in today's game, we're looking at speed. You know, like how fast can you skate, how fast can you move that puck, and how fast can you think. I think speed. I think speed's important in our society right now with the internet and everything else, and it's the same for the hockey game. The game of hockey is a fast game, and more so now than ever. The athletes are so well trained now. They're coming to us from midget hockey, and they already have personal trainers in the summer. They're already powerlifting and doing speed work. So that's where the game is going, and that's what we look for the most in players that we scout.
Connor McDavid, his name has come up. We had a chance to see him at the World Juniors. He's quite a special player. Do you believe that Connor has the potential, the skill set, the tools to not only be a great player, but be the best player in the National Hockey League one day?
Well, there's no doubt that Connor's a great player, and he's also a very good person. So, I mean, he's got a very nice package that we look for in players. Now, is he going to be the best in the world one day? Well, nobody knows that, but certainly I hope he does. And he certainly has the tools and has the background. I think that he can definitely be one of the best in the game for sure.
Was there anything in particular that surprised him or surprised you of what he was able to do on the ice?
No, I had heard a lot about him. I didn't know a whole lot in terms of seeing him play. I hadn't seen him play a lot, but certainly he's as fast as it gets in terms of skating speed. And the one thing that I really like with him is a very unselfish player. And that really helped us as a team, is to have one of our premier players on our team be as unselfish with the puck as he was, and I think that goes a long way into helping your team excel.
Another premium player is one that's really highly regarded by his peers, and that's Steven Stamkos. You've seen him in action, been able to be close to the action with him as well. For you, how special of a player is Steven Stamkos, especially when you take a look at how hard it is to break the 50-goal plateau in the National Hockey League? Seems to be just a next-generation sniper in the National Hockey League. What surprised you the most of him, and how good of a player is he in your books?
Well, we all know Steve can shoot the puck, and that's always very impressive in practice to see him, do the things that he does. But the big thing with Steven is that he is so driven, and you can see it in his eyes, you can see it in his face when he's coming down the wing in practice. In just a regular flow drill, a shooting drill, warm-up drill. I mean, when he's coming down the ice and he's crossing that blue line, he's really focused on scoring a goal. So he's not sloppy at any time when he gets close to the net. He's looking to put it in. He's looking for the rebound. And a lot of things that we forget with Steven is that we did one year, we looked, the first year we were in Tampa, we looked at his goals that he scored, because I think he scored something like 43 or 45, I'm not sure, the first year we were there. And we wanted to, he went into a slump. And so we looked at all his goals. He didn't score that many goals on his one-timer. And if you do the exercise with his 60-goal season, you'll see that he'll have maybe 10 goals on his one-time shot. But the rest are tip-ins, rebounds, driving the net, getting whacked in front of the crease, and basically paying the price to make sure that he gets that puck, that loose puck, that rebound, that short play around the net into the goal. So that was the big thing when we looked at his goals in Tampa. We realized that he's not just a shooter. He'll take it to the net, and he'll definitely do what he has to do to score a goal. That's why he's so good.
Real quickly, before we let you go, I know you're a former assistant coach. You're also now a head coach. I was curious to see what you thought about Steve Yzerman, or players like Steve Yzerman who are ex-players who hold executive jobs. How is it for you to work with an ex-player? Would you rather work with someone who's a little bit more of a seasoned veteran, or somebody like Steve Yzerman who brings that on-ice approach and experience?
Yeah, I think I didn't mind working with Steve at all. On the contrary, he was a great person, and really enjoyed his leadership. Now, with that being said, in terms of your question about whether the management or manager should be a former player or not, to me it doesn't really matter that much. If you've got the experience of the game, whether it is as a player, whether it is as a coach, whether it is as a general manager, having worked in management, the bottom line is you have to do your work. You have to do your homework, and that's taking experience, and do your hours. It doesn't change. So to have former players of the game come in management position, or even coaching position for that matter. I mean, you look at guys like Patrick Roy. I mean, he's played the game for a long time, but he did his homework by coaching many years in junior, and he even coached before that his kids in minor hockey when he was a player. So he did his homework to make sure that he was prepared, that he learned the ropes in his new title, his new position, his new responsibilities. So for me, it doesn't matter whether you've played the game, or you just coached the game, or you've managed the game, is how much experience have you gained? How much work have you put into your new role to make sure that you're well prepared? And I think that Steve had done his homework in Detroit, and I think that's part of the reason why he's having good success in Tampa.
Before we let you go, we're going to have some fun with you in our quick segment that we call the rapid fire segment. I'm going to throw some questions out there. You give me the first thing that comes to mind. You ready to go?
I am.
All right. Weirdest pre-game ritual you've ever seen a player do?
Hubert Morin was a goalie for us at McGill. I was there a long time, and Hubert was very, very intense. He wasn't a big goalie. He had to mentally really fire himself up because he relied on his reflexes a lot, and he would put a towel over his head, sit in the hallway, and basically just say some words. We mumble some things. We never really knew what he was mumbling. So that was totally different, but it worked for him, and wind up winning a national championship a couple of years after I left as a veteran goalie in the CIS. He won a national championship as the #1 goalie for McGill, so it worked for him.
Yes or no? Is Montreal the greatest city to win a cup in?
I would think so. Yes.
Is Montreal the worst place to coach in if you're not winning?
I wouldn't know all these things because I haven't coached in Montreal per se, but I would think probably, yes, they're probably one of the worst places if you're losing, and probably one of the best when you're winning.
And most successful player that you didn't think would make the NHL, who did and made quite the impact?
That's a tough one because I've only been coaching junior for 2 years.
Anybody stand out that maybe caught your attention that you said, you know what?
I'll have to say with my experience of coaching guys, I mean, Matthew Darche played for me at McGill for 4 years. I don't think anybody thought after scoring 1 goal in his first year of CIS hockey that he would turn out to be a bona fide third, fourth line player for the Montreal Canadiens and have the career he had in the NHL. When you look at his first year at McGill, but he turned out his second year scoring, I think, 25 goals in 30 games after scoring just 1 in 15 previous years. So I would have to say Matthew Darche, probably the guy that I had an opportunity to coach that felt didn't really think he was going to turn into an NHL player, and he certainly did.
We'll have Matthew Darche on to see what he has to say about that. Thanks for taking the time, Marte Rameau. Great talking to you. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Adam. All the best.
Stay with us. My rant is up next. You don't want to miss it.
Reid Between the Lines is brought to you by lavalcosm.com. It's ball hockey time.
At the pivotal moment of Super Bowl 49 at University of Phoenix Stadium, perhaps the biggest play of the game for the defeated Seahawks was the one that never happened. At the Patriots' half-yard line, a second consecutive Super Bowl title within their grasp, Seattle got cute and paid the price. Rather than putting their championship's hopes in the hands and heart of running back Marshawn Lynch, Coach Pete Carroll kept beast mode caged on the sideline. Instead, he favored throwing out a shotgun, a fateful mistake resulting in interception by rookie Malcolm Butler, sealing the Patriots' 4th championship. It left players on both teams scratching their respective heads. Sensational as Butler's play was, it was rightfully been overshadowed by a more pressing question. With the stakes at their highest for Seattle, who else is a better fit for that moment than the player who scored 17 total touchdowns this season? Who else but the player who had already ran for over 100 yards in the game? Who else but the player whose never say die attitude has so completely defined this team? You have to think that even if the Patriots loaded the box with cement, Lynch is not waiting until he crosses the plane to championship play dirt, putting the team on his back as he has done so many times before. Just maybe the decision was so obvious, Carroll and company figured it couldn't be. In the end, the game ultimately came down to a coach not trusting his team's identity. Under Coach Carroll, Seattle's special success sauce has been simple. Play 3 covered defense and ride a bruising running game, no scheming, additives, or preservatives. It was a recipe that has worked well and one that seemed to have the Seahawks poised to be only the 8th team in NFL history to win back-to-back Lombardis. That was until Carroll and offensive coordinator Dalrymple Bevel turned their back on what it mattered most. And so instead of being showered with confetti, they only have a sobering cold one at home as they try and wash away the burn of the opportunity they so piddled away. And as always, we ask you to read between the lines.
Catering services courtesy of piattorustico.com. Authentic Italian cuisine. Adam Reid's wardrobe provided by Carve. Available at carve.ca. Salon services powered by Glam Atelier, la maison de beauté. Guests of the Reid Between the Lines show stay at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, Montreal Airport. Transportation services by AmbianceLimousines.com.